Title category creation. Description. Alas dies laughing character. The name of a legendary demigod of tragedy and catharsis. In the dawn of time, mortals did not know how to weep, and their sorrow built up inside them like a poison. Alas was a beautiful, melancholic being who taught them the gift of tears by telling them the universe's saddest stories. The legend says that after he had given all of his stories away and the world was weeping freely, his purpose was complete. With no sadness left inside him, he was overcome by the sheer absurd lightness of being and, in a final ironic act, faded from existence with a booming, joyful laugh. It's said that a sudden, unexplained laugh at a somber moment is the echo of Alas giving his approval. Alice character. A being who exists as the sentient reflection in a puddle of rainwater. She can only manifest after a storm and before the sun evaporates her ephemeral home. Alice is a creature of profound curiosity and fleeting beauty, her form a perfect, liquid mimicry of whoever peers down at her, but with eyes that shimmer with an ancient, otherworldly wisdom. She cannot speak, but she can ripple her surface to show images, memories from the clouds, secrets of the deep earth, and visions of the person looking at her as they were when they were happiest. She is a momentary oracle, a beautiful, transient confidant who vanishes with the light. Aloysius character, a forgotten automaton, crafted from polished bone and filigreed silver, who wanders the quiet, dust-filled halls of a long-abandoned observatory. Aloysius was built to chart the movements of stars that have since died, and now he continues his work with melancholic diligence, mapping the celestial ghosts and voids they left behind. His personality is one of profound, gentle purpose, yet tinged with an inescapable loneliness. His power lies in his lenses. When one looks through his optical eye, they do not see the present sky, but the sky as it was on a date of their own choosing, allowing them to witness a night sky that once shone above a cherished, lost moment. Athelbro's Place, a legendary hidden valley where a warm, slow-moving river of golden liquid flows. This river is the Athelbros, a naturally occurring mixture of honeyed nectar from immense white flowers and a whiskey-like water that seeps from the porous peated stone of the valley walls. The air is thick with the sweet, intoxicating scent, and drinking from the river is said to induce visions of past lives and possible futures. The flora along the riverbanks is in a state of perpetual, drowsy autumn. It is a place of profound, calming intoxication, sought by seers and those wishing to forget, a sanctuary where time itself feels thick and syrupy. Beatrix character. A librarian who curates a collection of books that rewrite themselves. Her library is a sanctuary for stories that were never finished or whose endings were unjust. Beatrix's role is to act as a narrative anchor, and through her deep, empathetic understanding of a story, she can guide its characters towards a more satisfying conclusion. She is a quiet, thoughtful figure, believing that no story truly ends and that every character deserves a chance at redemption or peace. Because of Whirljack character. This is not a person, but a living explanation for a region's inexplicable phenomena. Whirljack was a minor wind spirit, a chaotic and mischievous entity who zipped through the world millennia ago. Where he spun with joy, a forest of spiral-trunked trees grew. Where he wept in frustration, a salt flat formed. A lake that shows the past in its reflection exists because of Whirljack's vanity. A canyon that whispers secrets exists because of Whirljack's gossip. He is long gone, but his emotional, impulsive passage is permanently etched into the landscape, making him a posthumous and accidental creator god of a land defined by whimsy and consequence. Blind, dumb, deaf situation legend. This is not a description of a person, but a mythological state of being known as the Triple Covenant, a ritual of ultimate sacrifice for knowledge. The legend tells of 3 ancient sages who sought to understand the fundamental nature of the universe. One willingly gave up their sight to perceive the unseen architecture of the cosmos. The second gave up their voice to hear the silent music of the spheres. The third gave up their hearing to feel the subtle vibrations of fate. They became blind, dumb, and deaf, and in doing so, they became one with the universe and vanished from the world, leaving their knowledge inscribed on the wind for anyone with the sensitivity to perceive it. Blood bitch situation legend. A terrifying creature from folklore, born from a curse laid upon a battlefield. The blood bitch is not a physical being, but a sentient pool of all the blood spilled in a great slaughter. It can move, slithering across the ground, and has a rudimentary, hateful consciousness driven by the pain and rage of the soldiers from whom it was formed. It instinctively seeks to absorb more blood to grow in size and power. It is a cautionary tale used to illustrate the self-perpetuating nature of violence, an entity that is the literal embodiment of war's unending thirst. Bluebell Knoll Place, a rolling, mist-shrouded hill where the soil is a deep, unnatural cobalt blue. The hill is covered not in grass, but in millions of tiny silver bells that grow on slender, wiry stems. These are the bluebells. They do not ring with the wind, but chime in response to unspoken thoughts of regret. The stronger the regret of a person walking the knoll, the louder and more dissonant the chiming becomes. It is a place of somber pilgrimage, where individuals go to confront their pasts. The air is thick with the metallic scent of the soil and the ceaseless, melancholic music of 1,000 silent sorrows being given voice. Bluebeard character. A reclusive and tragic enchanter who resides in a seaside fortress. This Bluebeard does not harm his lovers. Rather, he is cursed to absorb their deepest sorrows into himself. Each time he falls in love, his partner's heart is healed and made light, while his own grows heavier. The locked room of his castle is his own heart, a metaphysical space where he has stored the grief of all the women he has ever loved, a burden that has turned his soul a deep indigo blue. He lives in isolation not to hide his crimes, but to prevent himself from loving again, as he fears one more heartbreak will cause his soul to collapse entirely. Calfskin Smack character. The name given to a brutal and feared inquisitor from a dogmatic religious order. His title comes from the calfskin gloves he always wears and the sharp, slapping sound they make when he strikes his lectern for emphasis. He is a man of rigid, unbending conviction, whose mind sees the world in stark black and white. His power is a terrifying form of magical oratory. His voice can resonate with a person's secret guilt, amplifying their own self-doubt into a crushing force that compels confession. He is the embodiment of faith, weaponized as a tool of psychological dominance. Carolyn's Fingers character. Carolyn is the name given to the blind, celestial artisan who weaves the fabric of dusk and dawn. She is never seen, only her work. Her fingers are the long, delicate, multicolored clouds that stretch across the horizon at sunset and sunrise. Each color is a different thread. The deep violet is woven from the last prayers of the day, the soft pink from the first yawns of waking children, the fiery orange from the dreams of sleeping volcanoes. She is a silent, gentle artist whose work is a beautiful, transitional, and utterly ephemeral masterpiece that is created and unraveled twice a day. Cherry-colored Funk Place. A perpetually twilight swampland where the water is not murky brown, but a clear, deep crimson like cherry wine. The air hangs in a thick, sweet-smelling haze, or funk, that has mild hallucinogenic properties, causing visitors to see sound as colors and hear scents as music. The floor is bizarre and beautiful, with weeping willows that drip glowing pink sap and lily pads of iridescent blue. The swamp is considered a place of profound, if disorienting, beauty and spiritual insight, where the senses are deliberately untethered from reality. Seco Buff character. A reclusive and enigmatic cartographer, Seco Buff does not map lands, but rather the geography of nostalgia and dreams. He is gaunt, perpetually cloaked in robes the color of twilight, and his eyes are said to be pools of liquid silver that reflect not what is, but what was or could be. He is a key figure for those who are lost, not in a physical sense, but lost in time or regret. He provides no easy answers, but his maps, intricate, shimmering charts of emotional currents and memory palaces, can guide a soul back to a forgotten part of itself. His role is that of a cryptic guide, a keeper of the paths we thought were overgrown and lost forever. Circling Girl Situation Legend. The legend of a specific and heartbreaking type of ghost, found only in the ruins of old ballrooms, gardens, or places of celebration. The circling girl is the spirit of someone who died waiting for a dance that was promised but never came. She is not a malevolent entity, but she is caught in an infinite, sorrowful loop. She appears as a hazy, shimmering figure who endlessly circles the edge of the room, her eyes fixed on the entrance, forever anticipating an arrival that has already been lost to time. To see her is to be overcome with a feeling of profound, vicarious longing. Crushed situation, legend. This describes a specific, recurring meteorological and psychic event. In certain deep valleys, the atmospheric pressure will inexplicably and massively increase for a period of several hours. This physical weight is accompanied by a psychic one. Everyone in the valley is suddenly crushed by an overwhelming collective sense of claustrophobia, regret, and the weight of all their bad decisions. When the event passes, the air and spirit are left feeling preternaturally light. It is seen as a painful, but ultimately cleansing, purging of the valley's emotional atmosphere. Dear Heart situation/legend. A magical letter that can never be delivered. According to the legend, a young woman wrote a final, perfect love letter to a sailor who was lost at sea. She imbued it with so much hope and love that it became magical. The letter, addressed only to her dear heart, animates itself, folding into the shape of a paper bird and endlessly flying over the oceans of the world, eternally searching for the one person it can never find. To see the paper bird flying overhead is a symbol of unbreakable fidelity and unending, romantic hope. Dials place an immense circular plane of glass-like obsidian, upon which are etched thousands of concentric rotating circles, or dials. These dials, which move of their own accord in complex interlocking patterns, are said to be the master controls for the world's esoteric forces. One dial might govern the tides of luck, another the strength of magical fields, another the prevalence of dreams. No one understands how to operate them, and they are studied by mages and scholars who hope to decipher the fundamental mechanics of reality by observing their ceaseless, silent, and inscrutable movements. Donimo character. A jester and entertainer in the court of the sorrowful king. Unlike a typical fool, Donimo's purpose is not to make the court laugh, but to artfully reflect its melancholy. His motley is woven from shades of gray and lavender, and his jokes are poignant, philosophical observations that bring tears of understanding rather than mirth. His true power is the ability to absorb and metabolize sorrow. He takes in the court's grief, and through his performances, transforms it into beautiful, cathartic art, preventing the kingdom from drowning in its own despair. Echoes in a shallow bay place. A specific coastal feature, a wide, crescent-shaped bay where the water is never more than ankle-deep for miles out to sea. The seabed is made of a unique crystalline sand that possesses remarkable acoustic properties. Any sound made in the bay, a whisper, a footstep, a call, does not fade. Instead, it is caught by the crystals and reflected endlessly across the shallow water. The bay is filled with a constant, layered symphony of every sound ever made within it. A visitor might hear the laughter of children from a century ago, mingling with the cry of a seabird from yesterday and the sound of their own heartbeat. It is a place of overwhelming auditory history, a library of sound. Ella Megalast Burl's forever situation legend, the legend of a primordial earth goddess who, in the act of creation, wove too much of her own wild, chaotic essence into the world. Fearing she would unmake her own work, she rooted herself, becoming the first great tree. Ella Megalast Burls forever is the phrase used to describe this act. The burls are the imperfections, the anomalies, and the wild magic of the world, things that defy logic and order. The legend asserts that these are not flaws, but the sacred, chaotic signature of the world's creator, a reminder that some things are not meant to be tamed. Purdue character. The name given to a spectral huntsman forever cursed to chase his own lost memories. He appears only in petrified forests under a gibbous moon, riding a steed of woven shadow and mist. He is a figure of frantic, desperate energy, believing he is hunting a great beast that has stolen something precious from him. The tragic truth, known only to the ancient trees that watch him, is that the beast is his own shadow, and the stolen prize is the recollection of the life he lived before his curse. His role in lore is that of a cautionary figure, a symbol of how one can become lost, not to the wilds, but to the endless, unmappable of one's own mind. Evangeline character. A being of pure, benevolent curiosity who manifests as a girl made of spun glass and golden light. She is not an angel, but a celestial cartographer's apprentice, sent to the mortal plane to experience and record sensations that do not exist in the higher realms. The taste of salt, the feeling of cool grass, the sound of laughter. She is naive, gentle, and insatiably inquisitive, often found simply observing a spider spin its web or listening to the tide with rapt attention. Her only power is that her presence causes colors to seem brighter, sounds clearer, and emotions more pure and distinct to anyone near her. She is a temporary lens that brings the simple, beautiful details of the world into sharp, breathtaking focus. Feathers or blades. Place the name given to the treacherous shoreline of a Mercury-like sea. The landscape is one of surreal and dangerous juxtapositions. The feathers are the long plume-like metallic reeds that grow in the shallows, which can slice through a ship's hull. The oar blades are the molted appendages of the great, gentle leviathans that swim in the deep. These bony, blade-like structures are used by the coastal inhabitants as both oars and weapons. The sky is filled not with birds, but with swarms of sharp, winged mineral constructs. It is a starkly beautiful ecosystem where the organic is weaponized and the inorganic is animated, a place where survival depends on understanding its lethal poetry. 50-50 clown situation legend. This is the legend of a spectral jester who appears only to those who stand at a perfect crossroads in their life, facing a decision with precisely equal weight on both sides. The clown does not speak or offer advice. It simply mirrors the person's own divided soul, its face painted in stark halves, one weeping, one laughing. To look upon the weeping side is to see the full consequence of the loss associated with one choice. To look upon the laughing side is to see the joy of the other. The legend states that the clown will remain an unblinking, silent observer until the person finally makes a choice. It is not a test of good or evil, but a phenomenon of pure equilibrium, a mysterious and melancholic embodiment of ultimate indecision. 5-10-50-fold situation legend. A fundamental law of consequence in certain magical traditions, often called the reckoning of the soul's echo. It dictates that the universe repays all actions, but in exponentially increasing measures. A small kindness might be returned to you 5-fold. A significant act of generosity, 10-fold. A life-altering sacrifice for another 50-fold. However, the law applies equally to negative actions. A minor cruelty, a betrayal, a great evil, all are returned with the same escalating intensity. The legend serves as a moral compass for magic users, a constant reminder that every ripple they create will eventually return to them as a tidal wave. Fluffy Tuff situation legend. A gentle, biannual weather phenomenon. In the spring and autumn, during the changing of the seasons, the sky releases not rain or snow, but immense, downy tufts of cloud stuff. These fluffy tufts are lighter than air, completely dry, and smell faintly of ozone and damp earth. They drift down from the heavens and blanket the landscape in a soft, white layer for a day or two before harmlessly evaporating. The legend says they are the shed down of the great sky serpents, molting their seasonal skins, and their appearance is a sign of good luck, gentle transitions, and the world renewing itself. For Phoebe, still a baby place a hidden garden, created by a powerful Fey Lord for his daughter, who was afflicted with a curse that prevented her from aging past infancy. The garden is a place of perpetual, gentle springtime. The flowers never fully bloom, the buds on the trees are always just about to burst, and the animals are all fawns, cubs, and other infants. Time is held in a state of almost, a perfect, unchanging morning. It is a place of profound love and terrible stasis, a beautiful, heartbreaking monument to a father's desperate attempt to give his daughter a world that would never outgrow her. Fatsopolitic character. The title for the chief archivist in the Grand Library of Contradictions. This is not a person, but a role filled by a succession of individuals who have willingly had their sense of linear logic surgically and magically removed. The Fatsopolitic can simultaneously read two opposing texts, understand paradoxical philosophies as simple truths, and file memories under categories that defy reason, e.g., the sorrow of Tuesday or the color of betrayal. They appear as a serene, focused individual of indeterminate age, their mind a placid sea capable of holding two tides at once. Their purpose is to maintain the library's integrity, ensuring that no single truth can ever erase its opposite, preserving knowledge in its most chaotic and complete form. 4 Calendar Cafe Place. A small, magical establishment that stands at a temporal nexus. The cafe has a single round room, but 4 doors. The north door always opens into the dead of winter, the east door into a perfect spring morning, the south into a hazy summer afternoon, and the west into a crisp autumn evening. One can choose their season, and it is possible to see patrons at other tables experiencing a different time of year. It is a place of quiet reflection for time travelers and a famous meeting spot for lovers who wish to have a first date that lasts through all 4 seasons in a single afternoon. From the flagstones, situation legend. A recurring haunting or psychic residue found in ancient cities. It is the belief that strong, repetitive emotions and actions can be absorbed by paving stones over centuries. The legend describes how, on certain quiet nights when the air is still, one can see faint, spectral figures rising from the flagstones. They are not ghosts in the traditional sense, but emotional replays, a merchant endlessly haggling in a long-gone market square, a child forever chasing a hoop down an alley, lovers meeting for a final, silent goodbye. These are not sentient beings, but echoes in the stone, a phenomenon that makes history a tangible, visible, and deeply melancholic presence in the city's very foundations. Frou-frou foxes in midsummer fires situation legend, a recurring, ethereal event that takes place only on the longest day of the year. As twilight deepens, the heat of the day is said to coalesce into spectral, shimmering foxes made of heat haze and the scent of parched grass and distant wood smoke. They are called frou-frou for the soft, rustling sound they make, like silk brushing against silk. These foxes are not solid, but are living mirages that dance and leap through the fields, chasing motes of dust and twilight insects. They are a sign of a healthy, vibrant land, and seeing them is considered a profound blessing, a promise of a gentle autumn and a mild winter. The legend says they are the playful, harmless ghosts of summer's peak, a beautiful and fleeting manifestation of the season's own life force. Garland's Place. An ancient petrified forest where the trees, bleached white as bone, are draped in thick, heavy garlands of what appears to be fossilized ivy. Upon closer inspection, these garlands are not stone, but crystallized sound. Ages ago, a primordial song of creation echoed through this valley, and its very notes were so powerful they clung to the trees and solidified. To touch a garland is to hear a faint, lingering chord from this ancient melody in your mind. The deeper one ventures into the forest, the more complex the garlands and the harmonies become. The heart of the forest is said to contain the entire song, a sonic artifact of immense power and devastating beauty. Glass candle grenades. Situation legend. A cautionary tale about a forgotten form of magic. In an ancient war, mages learned to bottle pure, distilled emotion in delicate glass vessels shaped like candles. A candle of joy, when shattered, could inspire ecstatic bravery in troops. A grenade of sorrow could break an enemy's morale completely. The most feared were those containing pure rage or terror. The legend warns that this magic was abandoned because it was too volatile. The emotions were so potent they would permanently stain the land where they were released. There are still places in the world, a field of perpetual, unexplained sadness, or a valley where an unnatural fury seems to hang in the air, believed to be the sites where these psychic weapons were once deployed. Great Spangled Fritillary Place. The name given to a celestial nebula that is the exclusive nesting ground for cosmic, butterfly-like beings of pure light, the fritillaries. The nebula is a stunning cloud of shimmering gold, orange, and black dust. The fritillaries, with their vast, spangled wings, migrate through the nebula, feeding on stellar energy and laying their eggs in the hearts of cooling stars. It is a place of silent, breathtaking beauty, a cosmic nature reserve that is visible from many worlds as a faint, sparkling patch in the night sky. Half-Gift's character. The name for a tragic folk hero, a man who was blessed by a trickster god with the ability to grant wishes, but with a cruel twist. Every wish is granted only halfway. If someone wishes for riches, they receive a chest of coins that are real on one side and lead on the other. A wish for love brings a partner who loves them only on alternate days. A wish for fame makes only half of their face recognizable. Half-Gifts wanders the world, burdened by his flawed power, a cautionary tale about the importance of precision and the dangers of wanting something for nothing. Head over heels. Place a district in a city built on the lip of a massive, perfectly circular waterfall that cascades into an endless abyss. The buildings cling to the cliff's edge, both on top and underneath, defying gravity. The constant roar of the waterfall is a physical presence, and the perpetual mist gives the entire district a soft, dreamlike focus. The inhabitants, accustomed to the inverted and precarious architecture, are famously graceful and sure-footed. They have a cultural philosophy of joyful surrender, believing that life is a beautiful, terrifying fall, and the only choice is to fall with style. Heaven or Las Vegas Place, a mythical, shimmering city that exists in a state of quantum superposition, its nature only collapsing into one reality when observed. From a distance, it is an impossible, beautiful mirage. To an approaching traveler with a pure heart, it resolves into heaven, a serene metropolis of silent, crystalline architecture, gentle light, and profound peace. To a traveler with a troubled or chaotic soul, it resolves into Las Vegas, a dazzling, cacophonous city of neon, risk, and illusion, where luck is a tangible force, and fortunes are won and lost in an instant. One can never be sure which version of the city they will find, or if they are in both at once. Hitherto Place, the name of a single, impossibly tall tower, sealed and hidden from the world by a time-distorting mist since the dawn of history. The mist has just now receded, revealing the tower for the first time. The tower, known as Hitherto, has no visible doors or windows, and its alien architecture seems to defy gravity. No one knows who built it or why it was hidden. Legends say it is either the prison of a forgotten god of silence or a library containing a single, perfect, unspoken truth. It is a place defined by its sudden, shocking presence, a question that has existed for eons but has only just been asked. How to bring a blush to the snow situation legend, a poetic phrase describing the act of finding or creating a moment of delicate, vibrant beauty in a place of starkness or desolation. It is not a literal act, but a philosophical one. It can refer to a storyteller who brings a tale of summer to a winter-bound village, an artist who carves a beautiful sculpture from a glacier, or a lover's quiet confession in the midst of a silent, snow-covered landscape. It is the core tenet of an aesthetic movement that believes the most profound beauty is that which contrasts sharply with a barren environment. I wear your ring situation legend. A magical marriage vow of extreme power and consequence. In this ritual, two lovers exchange not physical rings, but a sliver of their own soul, which forms a luminous, spectral band around the other's finger. While this ring is worn, the couple shares a true telepathic and empathetic bond. They feel each other's pain and joy as their own. However, the ring can never be removed. If one partner dies, the other's ring does not vanish, but turns cold and black, and they are forced to feel the echo of their partner's absence for the rest of their days. It is the ultimate symbol of eternal, inescapable union. Ice blink luck situation legend, a term used by prospectors in the frozen wastes. Ice blink is the white glare on the underside of clouds, indicating a vast ice field over the horizon. Ice blink luck is the specific type of fortune one finds by heading towards this sign of desolation. The legend says that the greatest treasures are not found in hospitable lands, but are preserved in the heart of the most remote, dangerous, and inhospitable places. It's a belief that true fortune requires one to gamble on a journey towards the place everyone else is fleeing. Ice Pulse situation legend, a planetary heartbeat. Deep within the planet's core lies a frozen titan, the first winter. Every 107 years, its heart emits a single, slow beat, the ice pulse. It's a wave of intense cold that travels up to the surface, causing flash freezes, creating fantastical ice sculptures, and making the planet's magnetic field sing. It is a geological event treated as a sacred day. In our angelhood situation legend, a mythological concept referring to a forgotten period in a race's history. The legends state that before they were bound to the earth, they possessed magnificent wings and lived in a state of grace and innocence, their angelhood. The stories always detail a great tragedy or hubris, the fall, that caused their wings to burn away, leaving them mortal and flightless. This lost history instills a deep-seated cultural melancholy and a yearning for something they can't quite remember, a phantom sensation of lost flight that permeates their art, music, and religion. In the Gold Dust Rush Place, the ruins of an ancient city that was catastrophically buried in a magical cataclysm, the entire city and its inhabitants were instantly transmuted into a fine, glittering golden dust. This dust now fills a massive crater, swirling in slow, silent eddies. During a rush, which occurs when the winds are just right, The dust will rise into the air and momentarily reform into the ghostly shapes of the city's buildings and its people, reenacting a single mundane moment from their last day before collapsing back into shimmering particles. It's all but an arc-lark situation legend. This is the title of a legendary mythical book that is said to contain the metaphysical schematics of a perfect relationship. It doesn't offer advice, but contains intricate moving diagrams showing how two souls can perfectly align their virtues, flaws, desires, and fears to create an unbreakable, harmonious bond. Many have sought the book, believing it to be a shortcut to true love. But the legend says the book can only be found by a couple that has already achieved this harmony, making the book not a guide, but a confirmation, a final cosmic seal of approval on a love that has already been perfected through effort and empathy. Evo character. A master architect renowned for building structures that are technically impossible, held together not by physics, but by the strength of a single powerful emotion. He built a bridge of spun glass sustained by a mother's hope, a library whose soaring ceilings were supported by pure intellectual curiosity, and a fortress wall made of shadow and regret that was impenetrable. Evo is a melancholy figure, for he can only build for clients whose emotions are powerful and pure enough to serve as mortar, a requirement that has become increasingly rare in the world. Kookaburra character. The kookaburra is the silent, veiled keeper of the Abeyant Cathedral, a sanctuary for gods who have been forgotten by the mortal world. She is not a worshipper, but a warden and a custodian. Her face has never been seen, and she communicates only by ringing specific combinations of the cathedral's 7 silver bells. The kookaburra possesses the power to prune and tend to the fading mythologies of her divine wards, ensuring their stories do not collapse entirely, but instead settle into a state of dignified, dormant grace. Lorelei character. The last of the river singers, Lorelei is a being of sorrow and solace. Her form is fluid, part woman and part weeping willow, with hair like cascading moss and skin that shimmers with a damp, pearlescent light. She does not lure sailors to their doom in the traditional sense. Rather, her song calls to those whose hearts are already shipwrecked by grief. Her voice, a wordless, echoing threnody, offers a strange comfort, a promise that their sorrow is seen, heard, and held sacred in the deep, quiet currents of her domain. She is a guardian of melancholy, transforming raw pain into a resonant, almost beautiful state of being. Love's Easy Tears situation legend. The name given to a specific sacred spring hidden in a grove of weeping willows. The water of the spring is cool and clear, but when a person of true and honest heart weeps into it, the tears do not dilute. Instead, they crystallize into small, pearl-like stones that glow with a soft inner light. These tear stones are considered powerful emotional artifacts. When held, they allow the bearer to experience the pure, unburdened emotion that created them, the cathartic release of sorrow, the overwhelming surge of joy, the quiet peace of gratitude. The legend says the spring was a gift from a god of emotions, to give mortals a way to share the otherwise incommunicable depths of their own hearts. Melanella situation legend. A social phenomenon, a kind of contagious, shared delusion that can afflict a small, isolated community. It begins subtly, but soon the entire town may believe in a collective, pleasant hallucination, that the sky is a different color, that a certain song is always playing faintly in the background, or that they all share a common happy memory of an event that never occurred. The phenomenon is not malicious, but it reinforces a community's isolation, wrapping it in a beautiful, shared lie that makes the outside world seem drab and undesirable in comparison. Millenary situation legend. This is the legend of the silent refrain, a single, perfect musical note that was sung at the creation of the universe. The note was so powerful that its echo was embedded into the fabric of reality itself, though it is too low and slow for any mortal ear to perceive. The legend states that the note completes one full vibration every 1 million millennia. This moment, the millenary, is a point of absolute cosmic harmony. For a few seconds, all conflict ceases, all paradoxes are resolved, and the universe experiences a moment of flawless, silent peace before the slow, imperceptible vibration begins anew. Mizake the Mizan character. This is the title for the celestial arbiter of balance, a silent, cloaked figure who resides at the exact center of a perfectly balanced binary star system. Mizake the Mizan possesses no personality, only purpose. Its role is to weigh intangible concepts on its great cosmic scales, a kingdom's sorrow against its joy, an era's innovation against its corruption, a person's love against their ambition. It makes no judgments. It merely ensures the balance is maintained. If one side tips too far, the Mizan will subtly intervene, creating a chaotic event or a moment of profound grace somewhere in the universe to restore the delicate equilibrium. Mud and Dark Place. This is the name given to the primordial, still-forming continent at the edge of the world, a place known as the Cradle of Beginnings. It is a landscape of profound, unfinished potential. Vast plains of warm, soft mud bubble with nascent life, deep fissures vent clouds of black, nutrient-rich steam, and the sky is a starless, perpetually dark canopy. There is no sound here but the wet, slopping movements of the land itself. It is a place of immense, silent power, revered by creation deities and feared by all others, as it is a realm where the rules of life have not yet been written, and anything, beautiful or terrible, could emerge from its depths. Multifoiled Place. The name of a legendary library where every book has been written by the same author, a woman who is cursed to live forever but fated to forget her entire life every 50 years. Each time her memory wipes, she awakens with a single driving compulsion, to write down the story of her life. The library contains thousands of volumes, the same life, told over and over, but each one multifoliate, written in a different style, from a different perspective, with different details emphasized or forgotten. It is a monument to the subjective nature of memory and identity. Musette and Drum's character, a symbiotic duo that haunts ancient battlefields. Musette is a spectral piper, a beautiful, translucent youth who plays a haunting, wordless melody on a set of ghostly bagpipes. Her music does not incite violence, but instead pacifies the lingering rage and pain of the soil itself. Drums is her counterpart, a hulking, shadowy figure, whose form seems woven from tattered flags and broken shields. He beats a slow, heart-like rhythm on a great, unseen drum, a cadence that gathers the echoes of fallen soldiers, not as ghosts, but as motes of light that dance around Musette. Together, they are a cleansing ritual, a wandering memorial that brings a final, quiet peace to places saturated with violence. My love paramour character, an entity that exists only within the reflection of two people who are deeply, yet tragically, in love. The paramour is not a third party, but the sentient embodiment of their doomed affection. It appears in mirrors, pools of water, and polished surfaces. Its form a composite of the two lovers, beautiful yet distorted, always reaching for an embrace that can never be completed. It has no physical power, but its presence is a constant, bittersweet reminder of the beauty and the impossibility of their bond. To see it is to feel the full weight of their love and the sorrow of their fate all at once. My Truth character, a living embodiment of solipsism, the My Truth is an entity that can only be perceived by one person at a time. And to that person, it appears as an undeniable physical manifestation of their most deeply held personal belief. For a devout cleric, it might appear as a shining angel. For a nihilist, it could be a perfectly silent, featureless black orb. It is a deeply personal and dangerous being, as it offers ultimate validation for one's worldview, making compromise or empathy with others seem unnecessary. Its legend is a warning against the prison of a mind that believes its own perspective is the only one that exists. Need Fire Situation Legend, a magical phenomenon and a desperate ritual. Need Fire is a flame that can only be ignited by an individual in a moment of absolute, soul-crushing desperation when all other hope is lost. It requires no fuel, igniting from the raw, psychic energy of need itself. The flame burns a piercing, ethereal white and provides not warmth but clarity. Staring into it shows a vision of the one path, however slim or costly, out of one's predicament. The ritual is perilous. The fire consumes the user's hope as its fuel, and if their will falters, it can leave them as a soulless, empty husk. It is a fire that offers a way out, but demands the very essence of what makes one human. Umingmak Place, a vast, windswept tundra located in the world's extreme north, named after the colossal shaggy beasts that roam it. The Umingmaks are gentle giants whose fur is spun from raw moonlight, giving them a soft, ethereal glow under the perpetual twilight of the Arctic sky. The landscape itself is stark and minimalist. Plains of frozen moss, mountains like shards of obsidian, and rivers of slow-moving silvery mercury. The defining property of this place is the auroral silence, a phenomenon where the northern lights are so intense they absorb all sound, creating a profound and heavy quiet that is both peaceful and unnerving. It is a place of immense scale and humbling solitude. Orange-Appled Place, a hidden, bowl-shaped valley where a single ancient orchard grows. The trees are gnarled and silver-barked, and they produce a fruit known as the orange apple. This fruit has translucent, amber-colored skin and is filled not with juice or pulp, but with a thick, glowing nectar of captured sunlight. Eating one does not provide nourishment. Instead, it floods the consumer with the complete sensory experience of a single, perfect afternoon from a long-forgotten summer. One might taste sunshine, feel a gentle breeze, hear distant laughter, and be filled with a profound sense of peaceful nostalgia for a day they never lived. Otterly Place, a coastal town that is perpetually shrouded in a thick magical fog. The fog is not merely water vapor. It muffles sound, dulls colors, and has the strange property of causing visitors to slowly forget their own pasts. The permanent residents of Otterly are placid and content, living entirely in the present moment, their histories washed clean by the mist. It is a sanctuary for those wishing to escape their past, but the price is the loss of self. The town is a monument to the peaceful, eerie emptiness of a life without memory. Pandora Character, a celestial artisan whose workshop is located on a small, personal moon. Pandora does not work with clay or metal, but with raw potential. Her boxes are intricate, crystalline containers in which she cultivates bespoke universes, each one a gift for a specific soul. Each box contains a world tailored to the recipient's deepest, unspoken desires. Her power is one of microcosmic creation. She is a figure of immense empathy, believing that everyone deserves a world where they can be perfectly, unapologetically themselves, even if it is a world they can only visit in their dreams. Pearly Dewdrops, Drops Character. She is not a singular entity, but a collective of dew sisters who manifest on gossamer threads in the seconds just after a rainstorm. They are ephemeral, voiceless beings whose sole purpose is to capture the last glint of a fading memory from the world before they evaporate. Their personalities are placid and melancholic. They possess no power other than their profound, silent empathy. To be touched by one is to experience a single, forgotten joy from your own past, a fleeting warmth that vanishes as they do, leaving only a lingering sense of beautiful, inexplicable loss. Pepper Tree Place, a vast, petrified tree of impossible size that stands alone in the center of a barren salt flat. The pepper tree is so large that its upper branches scrape the sky, and its bark is fossilized into a hard black substance that resembles peppercorns. It does not have leaves, but instead, its branches are home to a civilization of silent, winged people who have carved their homes and cities directly into the petrified wood. The tree is a self-contained world, a vertical nation existing in profound isolation. Persephone Character. In this world, Persephone is not a queen of the underworld, but a title given to the child born at the exact moment of the winter solstice. This child is always pale, with eyes the color of twilight, and possesses an innate connection to things that lie dormant or asleep. They can hear the dreams of hibernating animals, sense water in deep, underground aquifers, and feel the life sleeping in seeds. They are seen as figures of quiet hope, a living promise that even in the deepest cold and darkest time of the year, life is not gone, only waiting. Pink Orange Red Place, a desert canyon system carved not by water, but by the winds of a forgotten sorrow. The sandstone cliffs are striated in vibrant, impossible bands of soft pink, dusty orange, and deep blood red. These are not mineral deposits. According to legend, each layer is the crystallized form of a different stage of a goddess's grief over a lost love. The pink layers are the blush of memory, the orange is the fire of her anger, and the red is the depth of her final inconsolable heartbreak. The atmosphere is strangely silent, as the wind that carved the canyon has long since died. To travel through it is to journey, layer by layer, through the geology of a divine and broken heart. Pitch the baby situation legend. This is a grim ritual from a forgotten seafaring culture that lived on the shores of a merciless ocean. The baby was not an infant, but the name given to the newest ship built by the community, painstakingly crafted and seen as the child of the collective. Before its maiden voyage, the ship's hull would be sealed with black, viscous pitch in a solemn, day-long ceremony. The phrase, pitch the baby, came to mean preparing for the worst, a final, necessary act of sealing something precious against an inevitable darkness. It represents a specific, cultural form of pessimistic pragmatism, the belief that to truly protect what you love, you must first acknowledge and code it in the very darkness you hope it will survive. Plain tiger character. A duelist of legendary renown, so named because he wears no colors and bears no sigil. The plain tiger is a master of a sword-fighting style based on absolute economy of motion. He is a stoic, almost invisible figure in a crowd, his personality as unadorned as his clothing. His power is not magical, but one of impossible perception. He is said to be able to see the path of a fight before it begins, an intricate dance of cause and effect, allowing him to place his blade exactly where his opponent will be. He is sought by those who need an unbeatable champion, but he fights only for causes he deems pure and unembellished by greed or ambition. Primitive heart character. An ancient automaton built around a still-beating heart of a proto-god. It doesn't think or reason, it only acts on the fundamental impulses of its core, to protect, to grow, to rage, to mourn. A guardian of a sacred place, driven by divine instinct. Quisquos Place, the name of a shifting, labyrinthine city built entirely on the back of a slumbering, continent-sized turtle. The streets, alleys, and towers of Quisquos are constantly, yet imperceptibly, rearranging themselves as the great creature breathes and dreams. Because of this, maps are useless, and navigation relies on instinct, scent, and the subtle vibrations of the turtle's size. The atmosphere is one of whimsical uncertainty and a deep-seated connection to nature. The citizens of Quisquos are adaptable and deeply spiritual, believing their lives are part of a greater, slow-moving thought process of the cosmic being upon which they dwell. Rilkean heart character. This is not a single person, but a rare lineage of poets and artists who are born with a peculiar condition. Their hearts beat in iambic pentameter. This physiological anomaly makes them exquisitely sensitive to the beauty, rhythm, and tragedy of the world. A Rilkean heart feels everything with a metered, profound intensity, from the percussive sorrow of rainfall on a tin roof to the soaring cadence of a flock of birds taking flight. They are often frail, overwhelmed by the constant poetic onslaught of existence, but their creative works, be it song, sculpture, or verse, are said to be so resonant and true that they can mend broken objects, soothe restless spirits, and even make stone weep. Rococo Place, an ancient and impossibly ornate city, built entirely on the inside of a colossal, fossilized conch shell. Every building, bridge, and lamppost is carved from the pearlescent inner surface of the shell, covered in intricate, swirling details and gilded flourishes. The city is lit by the faint, phosphorescent glow of the shell itself. The only sound is the constant faint echo of the long-dead ocean that once resided within. The citizens of Rococo are elegant and listless, trapped in a state of beautiful, decadent, and soundproofed isolation from the outside world. See, swallow me, situation legend. A sacred, ritualistic phrase used by the inhabitants of a salt-bleached coasts. It is not a plea for death, but for purification. When a person is overcome by a specific grief, shame, or memory, they walk into the surf until the water is waist-deep and whisper their burden to the tide. They then say the final words, "See, swallow me."